The hidden cost of genius, unveiling the isolation of deep thought. Imagine the mind of a genius, an intellect so sharp it cuts through the fabric of everyday understanding, seeing connections and truths others miss. But what if that brilliance comes at a price? What if the very thing that sets these minds apart also isolates them from the world around them? In this video, we'll explore the often overlooked cost of profound intelligence, the hidden toll of deep thought, and how this solitary journey shapes not only the thinker, but the world at large. Welcome to a journey that examines the price of brilliance, the silent struggle of the deep thinker. The brilliant mind, often celebrated and revered, has a darker, quieter side. We admire these individuals, the philosophers, the scientists, the creators, the ones who seem to unlock the mysteries of the universe. But behind their discoveries and groundbreaking ideas lies a silent struggle. Think about it. To truly innovate, to think deeply, one must step outside the boundaries of conventional thinking. But doing so requires an abandonment of social norms, a withdrawal from the comfort of conformity. In this space, the genius becomes a stranger to those around them. We often imagine these thinkers surrounded by adoring crowds, their ideas celebrated, but the reality is far from this. The more we think, the more we realize how little others might understand. There's a subtle, invisible gap that forms, a distance, and that distance grows. Deep thinkers, especially those exploring the profound corners of existence, often find themselves alone in their thoughts. The more they unravel the mysteries of the world, the more detached they become from the world they once knew. The cost of consumed thought intellect, when taken to its extremes, becomes a double-edged sword. It is like an unquenchable thirst for understanding that drives the individual forward relentlessly. But every deep question answered often leads to more questions, ones that never seem to end. It's an intellectual Ouroboros. The mind feeds on its own thoughts, yet is never truly satisfied. The great thinkers, from Nietzsche to Schopenhauer, knew this well. Their intellectual journeys were not just about seeking knowledge, they were about coming face to face with the abyss. And that abyss was not just an external force, but a very personal one. They realized that as they ventured deeper into philosophy, science, or art, they began to lose touch with the simplicity and joy of ordinary life. At the extreme, this can lead to a form of mental exhaustion, a feeling of being perpetually on. Every moment is filled with analysis, and every experience becomes a new layer to peel back. And soon, even the simplest pleasures of life, family, friends, nature, become distant, alien. The paradox of connection. Perhaps the most insidious cost of deep thinking is the paradox of connection. It's a tragic irony. The more we understand the world and others, the more we realize how little we truly connect with them. Deep thinkers often experience a profound sense of alienation. When you spend your life exploring abstract ideas, pondering the nature of consciousness, or questioning societal norms, you can begin to feel like an outsider in your own society. It's a sense of being out of sync, of living in a world that doesn't quite understand or appreciate the depth of your thoughts. This isolation isn't always obvious. It's not about physical distance, though that can happen too, but emotional and intellectual detachment. And this can lead to an overwhelming sense of loneliness. Even in the presence of others, a deep thinker may feel as if they are talking past their peers, speaking a language that only they understand. The price of knowledge and its discontents. This brings us to a vital question. Is the price of knowledge worth it? Many who dive into intellectual pursuits often struggle with a sense of dissatisfaction. The deeper they go, the more they uncover, but the more elusive the answers seem. Like a traveler lost in a maze, they become consumed by the journey itself, unable to find peace or rest. This struggle has been described as the burden of knowledge, the heavy weight of understanding that isolates the mind from ordinary pleasures. Think of the great philosophers, Nietzsche's struggle with nihilism, Schopenhauer's deep pessimism. These were not just intellectual ideas. They were the result of the overwhelming awareness of the limitations of human existence. Is it possible that genius, in its purest form, is incompatible with happiness? Can the relentless pursuit of truth truly bring satisfaction? Or does it only deepen the chasm of isolation? The neuroscience of isolation. Interestingly, recent studies in neuroscience may help us understand why the isolated thinker feels so detached from the world. The human brain is wired for connection, for empathy, for shared experience. Yet, when the mind becomes fixated on complex, abstract ideas, it operates in a different mode. High-level thinking often requires the prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain responsible for complex decision-making and abstract thought, to become hyperactive. At the same time, the brain's emotional centers may become muted. The result is a person who is mentally sharp but emotionally distant. This disconnect can lead to emotional exhaustion, an inability to relate to others, and a pervasive sense of loneliness. The more we think, the more we risk losing the very connections that make life meaningful. The existential toll. There's a deep existential toll that comes with intellectual isolation. When a person is constantly engaging with the profound mysteries of life, whether it's the meaning of existence, the nature of time, or the concept of free will, they often find themselves in a state of perpetual existential questioning. The very act of questioning one's own existence can make life feel fragile, uncertain, and fleeting. This, in turn, leads to what many thinkers have described as existential anxiety, a constant awareness of life's impermanence and a difficulty in finding peace within it. This can lead to depression, anxiety, and a general sense of unease. The deep thinker becomes trapped in a cycle of questioning that never seems to end, unable to reach closure or find contentment in the answers they uncover. The role of art and expression. Despite the costs, many deep thinkers turn to art, music, or creative expression to cope with the isolation and existential toll of their intellectual journeys. Art provides an outlet, a way to communicate the otherwise inexpressible aspects of the human experience. Through painting, writing, or music, the philosopher, the scientist, and the artist alike attempt to bridge the gap between their internal world and the external one. It's an attempt to share their truth, to connect with others, even if that connection is fleeting and imperfect. Art becomes a form of communication that transcends the limitations of language and logic. It's an attempt to reach beyond the intellect, to touch something deeper, something more universally human. Embracing the paradox. In the end, the hidden cost of genius is not simply the isolation it causes, it's the paradox it presents. The more we seek to understand the world, the more we risk losing our connection to it. The deeper we go into our minds, the further we may drift from the simplicity of ordinary life. But perhaps this is the price we must pay for growth. For in that very isolation, and maybe, just maybe, that is the essence of genius. Not just in the ideas we create, but in the courage to face the quiet, solitary journey that comes with them. So, the next time you encounter a deep thinker, a genius, or a visionary, remember, behind their brilliance lies a journey of solitude, of silent battles fought within their own mind. The cost of their genius is not one that can be measured in accolades or fame. It is one that can only be understood by those who have ventured into the realm of deep thought themselves. As always, thank you for watching, and remember to stay curious, stay thoughtful, and embrace the paradox of genius.